Fantastic, Nancy, thank you so much. So what scalable innovations exist or can be co-created to manage digital emissions while safeguarding mental health?
All right, I'm going to try. I'm trying to connect the mental health. But I look at mental health from, again, a poverty perspective. I think I've worked with a lot of those guys. So for me, when I think mental health, of course, there are issues when we learn from their panel. There's suicide and people talking ill about you. But we forget about the mental side brought about by poverty. When you have no food, when you're not able to cater for your needs. That means then, if we're able to solve that problem, we'll have sorted a good portion of what mental health issues are. And I think particularly in men, I'm not saying that one is a big area, but I think it's important, and that is from experience. So then if we're able to give the opportunities, right, around innovations in the digital space, it means these people will earn a living and will be able to lead, whether it is a small percentage, whatever contributes to mental health that comes from, lack of finances. And what we have seen is we also have a sister company called Circular Innovation Hub. So at Circular Innovation Hub, we're able to bring together young people. And the idea is to get solutions around electronic waste. There are so many hubs today. You go left, right, hubs. But for us, we are very specific on electronic waste. So we've had youth who come in and they have solutions around, when you dismantle some of the gadgets that we have, we're able to get some circuit boards inside. So those boards, they are able to form necklaces, bangles, picture frames, something artistic, right? I remember when King Charles came about 2 years ago, we had one of the innovators, we invited one of the innovators in our booth, and those guys were happy. They got some good pieces, and those guys, I think, they will not be broke for a year or two. So that tells you that it is an opportunity. And what we are doing right now is a lot of the forums that we go to are invited. We make sure that they go and exhibit. The same way we have shukas, very popular in Kenya today. So I think, again, with Kenyans, we are used to sort of stealing or riding with somebody else's idea. So when you talk about shuka, you talk about M-Pesa shop, everybody will open an M-Pesa shop. I don't know why they haven't gotten into the area of e-waste, because I haven't seen them so many. But the few, about 2 to 3 groups we have right now, they are doing very well. They have orders everywhere. So, as you said, whatever that is waste, they're now able to make things out of it and to sell and to have to make a living. The other one they are doing is around, again, technology. Other than the waste part of it, is looking at the problems that are in electronic waste or in waste management in particular. So what happens right now, and I know NEMA and Ministry of Environment are struggling with this, and there's a discussion around separate your waste. So even in our house, you'll find yesterday's chapati, a packet of Brookside and Crown milk, and then you'll find a toy, and then there's a battery inside, and then there's gonna be an extension cable inside there, right? So what we need to learn is to separate that waste, and it's gonna be a compliance issue very soon. I think they will be launching it very soon, NEMA. So the idea now that came out is, we as human beings, we have a way we are used to. Like, I'm used to putting everything together from when I was young. So now we are using technology to force people to separate things. So we currently have bins, and some of our bins will find them at Carrefour, others in KCB Bank, others at Safaricom, so a lot of the retail shops and other organizations, where if you try to put in a dustbin a bottle, a plastic bottle, but the bin is meant for paper, it will not accept. So basically looking at technology, yes, smart separation, and forcing you to actually do it. So then again, that is an opportunity where people can think around, what are the problems? What are the problems that these people are struggling with? Whether it is, when you go to TikTok or you go to these other places, look at the problems and try and get a solution around it. So those are 2 examples of innovations I like talking about, because they are providing solutions to a need that is already there. And of course, dealing with a mental issue because they're getting some money. Yes.
Great, you're hitting all three, the economic and the social and the environmental.
Yes.
There's something that you mentioned that I totally love, the waste segregation. I think when I moved to Kenya 2 years ago from Australia, I noticed that there was no, waste segregation was non-existent. And I mean, a country like Australia where they put so much emphasis on segregating and your bin won't get taken. Like we've got 3 bins. One is for plastics, one is for organic waste, and another household waste, and the third one is for green clippings and you know, if you cut your lawn or something. And if you put the wrong rubbish in the wrong bin, your bin is not going to be collected. So yeah, and I mean, it probably helps a lot with your industry where you're able to sort through waste faster and not have to sort through, you know, Pampers and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, which probably isn't fun to deal with. So how can ministries of health, education, and ICT collaborate to develop integrated policies that prioritize both sustainable tech and mental wellness?
So in South Africa, we have an interesting regulatory environment post-apartheid South Africa, and from a transformation perspective to create economic active participation, it actually incentivizes businesses, you know, to support in areas of you know, just creating that economic active participation, much like how we want to, like, you know, reduce poverty, where we root, you know, some of the causes of you know, mental wellness, and you know, tying into that, ICT companies, you know, have to spend like almost 1% of impact, you know, on digital, well, on solutions in the education or the healthcare industries. So incentivizing them, you know, from that perspective, whilst they have to make that spend, but then they also earn essentially points to then participate at various tiers on some, you know, government tenders, etc., or, you know, essentially boosting their profile. So similarly, you know, ministerial, you know, policymakers, you know, can consider, you know, how they can collaborate to develop this kind of integrated policy thinking and policy making for the private sector through incentives, you know, as well as, you know, the public, for the betterment of creating more economic active participation. So yeah, and there's also then the consideration around national digital wellness frameworks. So develop national frameworks that promote digital wellness, e-waste management, and sustainable tech practices. And then regulatory incentives, like I've just mentioned as well, offer these incentives for tech companies that prioritize sustainability, you know, in the healthcare space, education space, and eco-friendly design. You know, incentives on eco-friendly design, I'm sure Samsung is coining it somewhere, you know, from that perspective. And then public awareness campaigns, you know, launch public awareness campaigns, much like what we are seeing in Australia from your experience, you know, educate citizens. So we can learn a lot from each other, and also learn as well from where we're at in that perspective. And co-creation of partnerships, you know, industry academy partnerships, foster partnerships between industry, academy, civil society to develop, you know, innovative solutions that are multi-stakeholder inclusive from that perspective. Community engagement, engage with our local communities to understand their needs and develop context-specific solutions, and open source these initiatives through supporting of, you know, promotion of digital sustainability and mental wellness from that perspective. So yeah, some considerations.
I think I like the incentive part of it, and I think some of the things that we are doing is, I know for a lot of us, when you shop in a lot of the top retailer shops, for example, Naivas, Carrefour, Quick Mart, we get those points, so and then you're able to redeem. So what we are also doing for us, and it also contributes to circularity, is we actually will be launching one where the smart bin now is able to weigh and give you some points. So if I have my 2-3 laptops, I can drop them in one of the electronic waste bins, I will be able to be registered. I'll get some points. And currently we are working with also HACO. So HACO is a company that does, they manufacture oil, some of the cooking oils and hair products and things like that. So we're able to redeem in a lot of the stores. So again, that goes to just encouraging people to dispose properly. Encouraging and just feeling that, I'm not just giving out my gadget for free. So incentives, again, for organizations and people, players in this sector, it's also important. So that as you push people, let them feel that they are also benefiting from it. So I think I also like that bit for incentives.
Fantastic. Coming back yet again to Australia, the incentives work really well actually, where for every plastic bottle that you've got, you get 5 cents per bottle. And then imagine if you've got like 100 bottles, it adds up. So I quite like the idea of incentives, and I think it will work really, really well in many parts of the world. Shameless plug for the project that I do, I can speak to education. So one of the projects that I run, it's called the Eco-Rise Schools program. And I think a lot of the time, waste management or lack of it thereof has a lot to do with behavioral, like it's behavioral, right? And in order for people to do better, they need to know better. So one of the programs that I run through some Kenyan schools is that we educate children on how to become better environmental stewards. We teach them waste management, water conservation, things of that sort. And I think children are the key stakeholders because they are the ones that are going to inherit a lot of the environmental problems that we are causing today. So thank you so much. I think what I'll do is I will quickly open the floor to probably 2 questions.